the constitutional crisis. Simply put, violating the oath of office. You know, you see, lawyers are complaining about it. A professor from Harvard I was watching on television, and he specifically teaches courses on the public interest, which is mandatory for all attorneys, judges, politicians to do what's in the public interest. And this is how they maintain the public trust, because the court systems, everybody that works in them, they're public servants, and the court system itself is within the public trust. Not lawyers won't admit to it, but if you go over the rules of professional conduct, it'll tell you that all lawyers, must do what's in the public interest, first and utmost, no matter who they work for. So the constitutional crisis is just basically violating the oath. And right now, a lot of people think what is being done now is legal because politicians and lawyers are doing it. And right now, all I see is a lot of theater, a lot of drama, a lot of political drama, because legally you cannot usurp the Constitution. You cannot take the oath and then turn around and try to rewrite the Constitution in your favor. And if you cross-reference that with the basic obligations of public service, you'll have a better understanding. If you want corporate money, Wall Street out of politics, refer to the basic obligations of public service. One of my first videos I did was on that, and I used the DOJ's website to go through it for you. Okay, but there's many different websites, legal websites, government organizations. When you look up the basic obligations of public service, it'll tell you. It's just that nobody enforces those laws. Just like nobody enforces this one. Violating your oath is a federal crime. 5 U.S. 7311, Executive Order 10450, punishable by removal from office, prison, and fines. So right now, what's going on, deprivation of rights. They can't deprive you. Nobody can deprive you of your constitutional rights. Not even Congress, because everybody's supposed to do what's in the public interest. Okay, that in your best interest, in the best interest of we, the people, as a whole. And the basic obligations of public service will tell you all public servants are required to do what's in the public interest and not self-interest, not what's in their best interest. No. So if you want to stop that insider trading and all that other silly stuff, lobbying, shadow lobbying, refer to the basic obligations of public service. That was written shortly after, while they were writing the Constitution. So that's an old law that's just never been enforced, such as, Constitution in a nation where it is said that every man is created equal, endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights. Amongst these are life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. And that's not happening. It hasn't happened yet. It hasn't been enforced. So thus far, everybody that takes an oath to the Constitution took an oath to see to it that that happens. That is in a nation of laws. That is the law of the land. The king of laws. Okay, so no law can override that. It's quite poetically, as I put, the rule of law. Sounds beautiful, doesn't it? But let me reiterate that, because thus far, when it comes to the young and the old, those aren't old enough to vote, and those of us that can't think straight enough to vote, the old. My dad suffered from Alzheimer's and dementia, but they have to be taken care of too. And just because they can't vote doesn't mean it does mean they don't have a voice. So we have to speak up for them. Nobody left behind. This isn't a me thing or a you thing. This is a we thing, a we the people thing. So remind everybody in public service, violating your oath is a federal crime, punishable by removal from office, prison and fines. It's a federal crime. Okay, this is a constitutional crisis, just usurping the Constitution. So basically, that's a deprivation of rights, and considering the fact that so many people are involved and nobody's mentioning it to you, it's quite clearly called legally. Now you can look it up. A conspiracy against rights under the color of law. Okay, look up under the color of law. You know what a conspiracy is when two or more people gather to do something that they shouldn't be doing against rights. That's just deprivation of rights under the color of law. You think it's illegal because the legal system is doing it to you. Politicians are doing it to you, but it's not actually legal because it defies, the very principles, or the very principle. The Declaration and the Constitution was built on the very foundation, the rule of law. The rule of law. Okay, this is just from one, I'm just looking at my first video. There was no sound, nothing. I don't know how long it was. I didn't know what I was doing. This is when I first joined TikTok. But okay, people, this isn't about voting red or blue. This is about when you took the allegiance to the red, white, and blue stars and stripes, the Star-Spangled Banner, and what it represents. The United States Constitution, and who was written to serve and protect we, the people. Remind them, we did not take an oath to you. You took an oath to we. We are not your servants. You are ours. That oath you took is a legal binding contract. Those are not only violating the law on a federal level, a criminal level, but as well as a civil level. And legally, reimbursement, as some people might call it, reparations, are required. People, all these laws I'm teaching you, or I post about, there's a lot of stuff I've been talking about for years. I'm trying to get done, and I can't do it alone. Only a stable genius would tell you that. I'm not a stable genius. I'm not a genius. I am not well educated. My academic credentials don't exceed that of a GED, but some people tell me I'm well read. I read a lot. I learned to read before I started school, and my urge to learn never stopped. And am I smart? No, I just read a lot of different things. And I'm showing you a lot of things I read about, a lot of laws that aren't being enforced. A lot of laws that aren't being talked about. People will deny. Your public servants, your governments, your military. I gave it a definition of public servants. Their oath. That's easy to look up. Then look up the basic obligations of public service, and remember to hold them to the letter of the law. That's a legal mandate in interpreting the law, which means that it has to be done word for word to the letter, so it isn't misinterpreted, and everybody that reads it, hears it, sees, hears, and says the same thing. All right, nothing but peace and love for you. I just wanted to remind you what the law says about violating the oath, okay? if you want to end the constitutional crisis, remember there is separation of powers according to the Constitution, and the constitutional crisis is where one power is trying to wipe out the others. No. No. Legally, that can't happen. I don't see what the argument about. Anybody that even attempts to try to do it, that's high treason. Look it up. It's on the net. And I've also done a video on that as well. Okay, there's a lot of things I'm just trying to show you, teach you. If you like one post, you're going to like every one of them. I'm just teaching you what you need to know legally, what they are supposed to be teaching you. If you go through the things I'm just reading the law. People like to argue with me. No, you can't argue with the written law. You're not arguing with me. You're arguing with the written law. I'm just pointing it out. Okay. I've never considered myself smart, a brainiac. But growing up, I was called a nerd. Other names of that sort, but it never bothered me. I was always in the need to know. Always in the need to know. 10 years old when I first read the Constitution and I understood it. And I understood that wasn't happening. And it gave definition to Martin Luther King's dream. For me, I'm a Christian. But not just a Christian, as a United States citizen. When I pledge allegiance to the flag, I did not pledge allegiance, as I said, to a government, to a politician, to a political party, or those that violated the basic obligations of public service by bribing those politicians, Wall Street. I took an oath, a pledge of allegiance to we the people, and to see to it their life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness exists. With your help, just researching all these laws I talk about, it doesn't take that long, and using them, confront everybody everywhere. I learned at a very young age, when it comes to the legal system, when it comes to politics, trust no one and question everything. My disadvantage back in those days was everything were in books and I couldn't afford them, and nobody would read them anyways. But now you have the advantage of the internet. Fact check everything I show you. And I'm just showing you the law. Legal websites, Supreme Court, local courts, U.S. Supreme Court, law schools. That's what I use. All right. No Facebook memes or no meme. This is as far as I go with my memes. All right. This is Pops from Legal Reform, and the only way you'll ever see a fair trial, have effective assistance of counsel, see to it that due process exists, is by going through what I'm trying to teach you. Okay? That's all I'm trying to do. I've been doing this for a very long time, and every time I help one of you, somebody reaches out to me, I feel blessed. We all do the Lord's work in different ways. And this is how I do mine. All right, you have a good night. Remind them all, violating your oath is a federal crime. 5 U.S. Title 7311, Executive Order 10450, punishable by removal from office, prison, and fines. Nothing but peace and love to each and every one of you. I am your biggest fan when it comes to we the people, my people, your people, our people, we the people. You will always have my every loyalty. Thank you and good night.